Hello, it's Tamara Hunter, and today is day number 227 of 365 Days of Awesome. Celebrate success through service. And I have our service hero today. Let me introduce to you Jody Paar. Jody Paar, I have met a couple different ways. I guess you could say I kind of knew about her because she is also one of the next impactors. And yes, shout out to the next impactors.
Yeah, shout out.
However, it's kind of funny how life works. I was celebrating Jeremiah Knight as a service hero, and Jody's husband, Jim Paar, he was commenting, and Jeremiah says, yes, that's my mentor and some stuff, was kind of referring back to you. I did not make the connection until a little later, and it's like, okay, what a small world. And so
Right.
I actually had said, Jim, because he and I were communicating, and I said, I need to get your wife on sooner than later. And then here you are. So thank you for what you're doing. I know I didn't tell your story yet because you know what? Your story is so amazing that I want you to be the one to really walk us through it instead of me highlighting it, because I just don't know that I could do a good job. However, I just want everybody to understand right now, and I already see we're getting a lot of comments, so we're going to start welcoming everybody, and then we'll really dive in. But I just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for being the inspiration that you are, and thank you for being a service hero today. So, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Tamara. And thank you so much for Service Heroes. I think that's a beautiful thing. I love how you're doing that and how you are bringing in people and letting them tell their story to reach others and impact others. I think that's absolutely beautiful. So thank you for having me, and I really appreciate you a lot.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate you too. This is great. In fact, we got a lot of love being shared. So let's share some love, and then we'll go into the story, okay? So we've got Amy. Whoop. Good to see you. And Amy's already shared. Yes. Oh, and since right now we don't have Sharon Nichols Ward, my senior ambassador from Chemo Buddies for Life, everybody shout out to Sharon. She is right now in need of those prayer warriors and those people that can send love and peace to her and her family. So please remember her. And she would remind me to put #live or #replay. And Amy, thank you for sharing. She's sharing right now. Thank you. And we have Jeremiah.
Yes, Jeremiah.
Yes. And you know what? I love it. I love it. So you're a team mentor is what I'm seeing here. Right? With your husband, Jim and Jody?
I am. And I love Jeremiah Knight. I'm going to tell you guys something. Jeremiah Knight and I met when we lived in Orange Beach, and my husband and him would actually go to the shooting range together. But I love how God works and how God puts everything together the way that it's supposed to be. And Jeremiah Knight is so much like Jeremiah in the Bible, because the Jeremiah in the Bible would prophesize over you, and people would criticize and make fun of and not. Well, when he prophesied over me, I was like, yes, I will accept that. I will take that. I had no idea the journey that God had planned for me. And I get chill bumps because what Jeremiah spoke over me is what actually happened. And so I love the Knight family, Vera Knight, JJ, Lizzie. I love them all. And from the bottom of my heart, I thank them for all the support that they've given me.
Whoop, whoop for Jeremiah. Yes. He supports us all. He believes in all of our dreams. He actually did the same thing for me. And I don't want to get teary because it's like, wow, everything that I'm working for, I know he, if nothing else, he believes in the dream so much that we all have. And Amy, thank you. I love it, love it, love it. And he's referring to, we're going to talk about is a boss. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. We got Teresa Snyder in the house, one of our service heroes. And Amy, I did not mention, she is a service hero. We got an amazing one. Shelly Hart, is a service hero. And so happy, Shelly, that so many good things are happening for you and your family. And, I've been watching. I'm so thrilled.
Yes.
And yes, she is the coolest. And then we've got people that are, we've got everybody's talking about everybody, saying hi. And I love it, love it. Okay, so, and Jeremiah is mentioning that your dreams are coming true. And I'm gonna share this one. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's something I'm actually putting another application in today, guys. And taking a class even. And Chemo Buddies forever. Thank you. Thank you. So with our introductions and the welcome, and thank you guys for showing up today. It's huge, and I appreciate you all. All right, so let's talk.
Yes.
Tell us about you.
So my story is a very different story from everyone else's story. And the thing about that is I never thought I would ever share my story. I thought my story was going to be something that I would hold on to and that no one else would ever know about. And God had different plans for me. And so my boss is actually Breakout Silent Soldier. And that is exactly what God had me do. And how that happened was I was being woken up in the middle of the night, like 3 o'clock in the morning. And it was like, you're going to tell your story. And I was like, what story? Like, I know the story you're talking about, but I'm not going to tell that. Like, that is something I will take to my grave. And then I would wake up again the next morning at 3 o'clock in the morning. So when God wants you to do something, you listen. You don't, just ignore that. So on the third morning that it happened, I said, okay, God, I'll do it. So I had this channel. I still have it. It's called Bling Life, and it is on YouTube. And I've always loved bling. I've always loved the sparkle, and I've always been drawn to it. But I could not figure out how to build Bling Life. And Jeremiah Knight was actually speaking over me, and it's like, Bling Life is going to be huge. People everywhere are going to know about Bling Life. It's going to be an amazing thing. And I'm thinking, how are you saying this to me when I don't even know what it is or how it's going to be? But I would always accept that, and I would always thank Jeremiah for that. Well, Bling Life, I got on there, and I always have a big wig for always support those who have lost their hair to cancer or alopecia. I will always have a crazy wig on, and I would have these big glasses. Well, the big glasses were different. The big glasses were hiding me, and nobody understood why. And so when God was waking me up saying, you're going to tell your story, I realized that I had to say why I hide my identity. And so I got on and I did the video, and I didn't tell the complete truth. I told a good part of it, but I didn't tell the huge part of it. So 24 years ago, I escaped human trafficking. I was 18 years old, and I was very rebellious, and I was raised in a very safe home. And a lot of people are not. And I didn't realize that. I didn't realize the evilness that happens to children. I thought all kids grew up the way I did, in a sheltered home. Your dad is so like rules and rules and rules. Like, my dad was the dad that if you didn't get off the phone, he would unplug it from the wall. Remember those days? You could just unplug the phone from the wall. That would be my dad. Like, if you didn't hang up, he'd just unplug you. So it was so strict, and if we went on a date, my dad would sit in front of us. I have 2 older sisters, but if we went on a date, he'd sit in front of us and he'd clean his guns, and he'd be like, well, what are your plans for my daughter? Where are you going to take her? And so when I turned 18, I was like, I need some freedom. Like, I need to get out of here. Please let me out. Right. So I ended up moving in with my aunt and uncle. And I was very excited because they didn't have rules. Like, they didn't have rules like my dad and my, those rules that I had. And I ended up getting a job, and I was very excited about that because growing up, I always felt stupid. I would always learn backwards. I would, I had short-term memory loss, so I wouldn't remember what, I had studied the night before, and I would get frustrated. But I was a pro at turning an F into an A. I mean, back in the day, you had the ink one. I could easily make that an A, but I never felt like I was smart enough or good enough. So when I got this job, I was like so pumped and excited about it. And I was I've been working there about a month, and this gorgeous guy walked in. And when I tell you, he looked like he stepped off a magazine, he did. He was gorgeous. And he approached my desk, and I was so nervous, but he ended up asking for my phone number. And he was like, "You're so beautiful. You're so that, and so back in the day, got a little Post-it note, put my number on it, and gave it to him. And he started to call me, and we started to talk. And he was always out of town on business. So I never got to see him again because he was always out of town. But we had talked and talked and talked, and he had painted this amazing picture of our future. Like, we're going to have the big house with the white picket fence, and you're not going to have to worry about money. You can just stay at home, and you can buy whatever you want to buy. I can give you this, and I can give you that. And, it was like I was falling for him because I was 18 years old. I was so naive. And B, this guy was gorgeous. I was like, yes. And then C, I had the freedom to be on the phone with him all night long because my dad was not going to unplug it from the wall.
Right.
So we were talking for a while, and he called me and he said, "Hey, I'm so excited. My parents want to meet you, and there's a big party, and I want you to come to it." And I was so excited. And the night of this party, I had gotten dressed, put on my dress, my heels and everything. And I was getting ready to walk out the door, and the phone rang. And I went and I answered the phone, and it was him. And he says, "Baby, I'm so sorry. Flight's delayed. Things going on. My best friend / bodyguard's going to pick you up."
Oh, okay.
And I had that moment that I kind of stopped, and I was like, okay, I don't know who this person is. Do I go? Do I trust him? And so I said, I don't know. And he goes, "Oh, baby, my best friend. Like, you can trust me. We've been talking all this time. I love you. I really want you to meet my parents, And I'm like, okay. And he's like, "We'll even meet in the same parking lot that you work in." And I said, okay. So I drove to the parking lot. It was night, of course. And there was another vehicle there. And I had to be very careful that I don't give away too many details. My book is actually,
right. In fact, Jeremiah right here, the block thickens.
Yeah.
Like,
Remember,
guys, okay, I'm going to put it up here.
Yes.
You have a book that's involved. So,
I do.
Okay.
Silent Soldier. Yes. Because I'm going to cliffhanger you guys. I'm going to get you to that point, and then I'm just going to.
Please do, because I cannot wait to get my hands on the book already. Okay. Keep going.
So I ended up, I got out of my car, and this guy was in his vehicle, and he started to, when he got out of the car, he was probably 6'7", 6'8", and he was just as wide as he was tall. He was huge. So immediately in my mind, I think he's a bodyguard.
Right. Yeah. He fits the typical stereotypical bodyguard. Okay, good. Yeah. Kind of like,
yeah, right? Almost like a sigh of relief. Yeah. So when I got close to him, he says, "Hey, you must be Jody." And I said, "Yes." And after that, I saw the gun. And I knew when I saw the gun, I was in trouble. The next thing I know, I am blindfolded in the back of a vehicle. Now, this is what's crazy. My mind was telling me this was an exciting way that Trek was going to propose to me. I had yet, kind of put the things together that this was not good. And so when he opened up the car, I'm in front of a very dirty, rundown motel. And I started to throw up in my mouth, and I started to get sick, and I knew I was in trouble. I was a virgin. I had saved myself for 18 years from my husband. And so horrific things happened in the hotel. I will not go into details. And so then after that happened, I remember laying in the bed, and I remember him being over me and being so large and suffocating me. And I remember the gun being right there at my head. And I prayed to God. I said, "God, I need a way out of here. Please, God, get me out of here. Like, I don't know how, but please." And so when I woke up the next morning, he was in the corner smoking a cigarette. And cigarettes were one of my main triggers, like cigarettes and me. And I found the strength to tell him, "Okay, I have to go now." And he started laughing. And he was like, "You're never going anywhere." And I said, "Well, I got to go home." And he goes, "No, you're never going to go home." And I remember standing there, and I was just praying. And I said, "Well, I have to go home because my sister, she works for the highway patrol, and she'll find me. She'll trace me back here." And he turned and glared at me, and just rage came over him. And he started waving his gun, and I thought, that's it. He's just going to turn it and shoot me. And he turned and he looked at me and he glared and he said, "Does Trek know that your sister works for the Highway Patrol?" And I said, "No, because I didn't tell him that."
Oh, wow.
And he went over, he picked up the phone. He started to scream and scream into the phone at someone. He slammed the phone down. He was pacing and everything. And this is the part I would never tell a soul. This is the part. I said, "I'll come back."
Wow.
And he turned and looked at me, and I said, "I'll come back." I said, "If you let me go, I promise you, I'll come back." And he looked at me and he said, "If you don't, I know where Grandma and Grandpa live." And he used their real names. "I know what time Daddy gets to work, and I know what time Daddy leaves. I know everything about your family, and I will kill you, and I will kill them too." So here I am, 18 years old, just totally, my whole body is ripped apart. And now I have to make sure that my family's secure and safe. So we had a cab that came and picked me up, and the cab took me to my car. And I remember getting in my car, I was shaking so bad, I was crying so bad. And I went to the hospital, and I was going to, tell them I had been severely raped. And it was in my head, "I know where your grandma and grandpa live. I know where your dad works. I will kill you. I will kill all of you." So I went to the baby area instead, and I sat in the chair and I was crying. And I know that people knew something was wrong. I mean, I had blood on me. I mean, I know that I did, because I had on my dress.
You looked like you had been through something traumatic,
yes,
physically, right?
Yes,
okay.
Definitely, no doubt.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure I, at that point, had bruises on my arms. My mascara was down my face. I mean, I looked
blood, right? Just picture the worst of the worst, and here you are sitting in the baby area, not an area that you would usually think of trauma and some kind of physical issues. That's a happy place typically. So yes, place. that was actually, did you do that on purpose, or was that a subconscious, okay, I need help, or was that kind of like you were guided there by your prayers? How did you end up in the baby area?
I honestly think and believe that God put me there, because I didn't know where else to go, and I knew that there was all happy people there. And I felt like if I was going to go somewhere secure in a hospital, I didn't want to be around people who were dying or people who were, I wanted to be in a happy place.
Right. You've been through yeah. Sorry to step on your.
Yeah. No, that's okay. I believe that's why. And so I ended up leaving there. I went to my friend's house, and I took a shower, and I scrubbed myself until I bled even more. And I ended up, I'm going to go pretty quickly through this. My book goes detail. I'm going to go kind of quick, but I ended up going back home. I moved back home, and I walked in the door, and my dad's like, "Why are you back here? I thought you were going to go do your thing." And, they didn't have any idea what happened to me, and I wasn't about to tell them. And so my dad said, "Well, if you're going to be here, then you're going to have to work." And I said, "I'll work." And so I ended up working at a grocery store and nannying for my manager that worked there. So I would stay with them and nanny the kids, and then sometimes I would come home. And it had been about a week. And I walked in the door, and my daddy said, "You better tell those little kids to quit calling here and hanging up."
Oh, wow. So he thought it was the children you were nannying. However, it was.
I think he thought it was my friends, back in the day before caller ID, all that good stuff. People would just call, they'd hang up. I knew instantly. I had chills. I had all over my body chills. I knew exactly who it was. And I said, "Daddy, I'm sorry. I'll tell him not to do that." And I went into the kitchen, and the phone rang. I grabbed it off the wall, and I answered it. And he said, "Little girl, you think I'm playing with you? I'm going to kill all of you." And I said, "I promise I'll come back. I promise. He goes, well, you haven't come back. I said, but I promise I'll come back tonight. And I hung up the phone. I slid down the wall and I was crying. And I went in the bathroom because I didn't want anybody in my house to know what was, going on. And again, I prayed. I said, God, I just need a way. I need a way. Please, God, give me a way. And it came in my mind that I could put a key on the bottom of my shoe. Because back in the day, you had the keys that went into the car. You didn't actually have like the beep beep keys.
Right.
And so my plan was that I would take a cab or take my car there, then get a cab. So it seemed like I took a cab the whole way, but my car would actually be where I could get to it. And so I ended up going back to that motel room, and I walked in there a different person. This was a very, very big guy, and I knew exactly what he wanted, and I was going to give it to him until he passed out. Wow. So I went from being a virgin, a little sheep, a little no idea how to do anything, to a sex woman that was going to wear him out.
Right.
So when he was out and he was snoring and sleeping, I snuck out from underneath him and I grabbed my clothes and all my stuff, and I was hands shaking, turned the key, turned the lock, walked out of the motel room and got to my car. I was driving to where I nannied. I was praying the whole time, please God, give me a way. These people are going to kill my family. That's all I could think. That's all I could think is, what did you just do? You just walked away from the person that told you he would kill you and kill your family. Like, what did you just do?
Right.
But I was praying because I had been in church since I was a little bitty girl, and I knew that God wouldn't leave me and wouldn't forsake me. I'd heard that for years. And yes, this horrible thing had just happened to me, but I knew there had to be a way for me to get out of it. And so when I pulled up to where I nannied, there was a big, huge U-Haul in the yard. And I thought, well, that's weird. Right. And so I walked in, and they're all huddled around a map. And I'm like, what's going on? And they look up and they said, we're leaving in the middle of the night. And if you want to, you can go with us.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So I went in the bathroom. I got on my knees. I started to cry out to God. I said, okay, this is my out, but I need to make sure my family is safe.
Right.
And so I prayed that I needed a sign, and I needed a big sign because I didn't want to make the wrong mistake. I didn't know if I should get back in my car and go back to the motel room. Like, I didn't know what do I do? And so I walked outside to where the U-Haul was, and there was the biggest shooting star that went across the sky. And I stood there and I was like, okay, that's my sign. And so I ended up leaving in the middle of the night with them. I called my mom from a payphone and I told her, I said, I can't tell you where I'm going. I can't tell you what it's about. But if anyone calls the house for me, tell them I left the country on a missions trip. And she was like, where are you? And I said, I can't tell you that. And my mom did not know what really happened to me until I just wrote my book last year.
So, okay, so I'm doing the math. That's a few years. 24 years. Your mother did not know that you did not go on an international mission trip.
Well, she knew I wasn't in Mexico. She knew I was on the run, but she didn't know why.
Wow. Okay. So I don't want to step ahead, but just sidebar here. How did your mother handle it when she read the book?
You know what? She was proud of me. She was very proud of me because I did what I had to do to protect my family and keep them safe.
Right.
And I don't think at the time she would have been able to handle it.
Okay.
You see, when you say 24 years has passed, you really don't have to worry about these people coming after you anymore. Even though my subconscious mind was thinking that they were. That's why I was hiding myself on YouTube. But the timing wasn't right. And that's the thing about God, is he gives you the right timing on everything. And so none of my family knew. They thought I was just a wild child, because once I got away and I was on the run, I couldn't deal with who I was anymore. I turned to alcohol to self-medicate. I turned to drugs to self-medicate. I went from relationship to relationship, trying to find someone just to take care of me so that I didn't have to go back home because I didn't know if they were still looking for me. And it had been about 4 years. And I told my sister, because my sister had told me something, and she said, "You don't understand what it's like." And I was like, "Yes, I do." And so I told her. And when I told her, she told me that they drove by the house several times, super slow. And my dad got so mad that he finally got up and he went out on the porch and he's like, "I don't know who these people are," but he had a shotgun in his hand. And when they drove by, he raised up that big old shotgun and they took off and they never drove back by again. So I thank God that my dad didn't shoot them and that they didn't shoot at my dad.
Right.
You know, and my dad went to heaven. He never knew this story about me. He never knew why I was so wild. He never knew why I was on such a dark road. He never knew. I mean, he knows now because he's looking down smiling.
Right.
He didn't know.
Mm-mm. What state were you living in at the time?
I don't really put that out there.
Okay. All right. I respect that.
No problem. Say this, very small southern state. I will say this, very small state.
Okay.
Very, very small southern state in the United States. Yes.
Okay. Not a problem. You know, I understand. So no worries. Okay. So I know we've been getting comments and everything as you've been sharing. And this is an incredible story. Thank you for being so brave to be sharing it. As I'm looking at the picture on the cover of your book, can you explain, now that we kind of have an idea of what is in the book? It's so, I believe, probably metaphoric in multiple different ways, layers of onions here. I love this stuff. I'm kind of a geek. And I'm like watching it. I'm like, okay, I cannot wait. Let's find out. So can you explain to us?
Sure. So the one ghost, and my husband did this cover for me. I told him my vision and he put it to life. So he's very much nerdy. I love my nerdy. But yeah.
Good. And I can be in the nerd club.
Oh, yes, I love nerds. I absolutely love them. Yeah, definitely. I always say if I talk to a teenage girl, I'm like, go for the nerds. Like, you don't even know that's the ones that are gonna make it in the world. But so if you look at this picture, you will see one wolf who's very big, and he's kind of like almost a ghost. That is the guy that raped me. That is the guy that kidnapped and took me. So the reason he's like a ghost is because he haunted me for 20 years of my life. The other wolves around me, some of them are the wolves that got me into drugs. Some of them are the wolves that got me into other things that are in my book. And then the lightning and the moon just basically sets the whole entire thing. It was just a very stormy, dark part of my life. So me, as you can see, I'm in bling shoes and a bling hat, which represents the light. And then I'm in all dark because this was the darkest, the dark book. And then it's me breaking out of the silence that I've been in for 20 years. And of course, the path that I'm on. Yeah.
So break out, silent soldier.
Yes.
BOSS, right? Tell us a little bit more about that. You're wearing the hat too, and and I love all the bling. I love it. It's so much fun. And sometimes in my life I've done a little bling. I'm not really the blingy girl, though I have a blingy personality, but I love it though. And oh my gosh, you look gorgeous in it.
Oh, thank you.
And so did Jeremiah Knight too. Let's just be real, in the other one, like it brings out, it shines your inner personality shines within these hats. So tell us a little bit more about BOSS. How'd you came up with?
That is another thing God gave me. Because whenever, I was talking about everything that I was going through, and I've always just loved the bling side of things. I felt like there's so many other people that need to break their silence because things happen to them when they're little and they don't ever tell anybody because they're told not to. They're told to be quiet. Don't tell anybody that happened to you. Be silent. And so therefore, this is a piece of armor when you break your silence and you say, you know what, this happened to me, but I overcame that and God put me on this life. People see me now and they never, ever would think of what I've been through, and it's because this is the after, but you didn't see the before. And so with the bling and the sparkle and everything, it is just a part that I want people to know that it doesn't matter how dark you've been or the darkness that you've even been in, that God can take you and he can light you up and he can make you sparkle. And I have a lot of different people who have done breakthrough prayers and they wear this as a piece of armor. They wear this as, I broke out of silence. I am a, breakout silent soldier. I'm a soldier that broke out of that silence, because nobody should ever have to hold on to those things, because all it does is poison you on the inside,
Yes.
And so that's what the bling is about. The bling is about, and it's a great thing, because I love how God did this, because people will comment all the time. And when they comment, it opens the door for me to say, let me tell you what God did for me. Right. So if it's my nails or if it's my hair or if it's my clothes or whatever it is, it opens the door for me to say, look what God did to me. And I can tell you, you can reach your hand out and touch somebody that has been sexually abused. It is insane. It is insane. And I want all these people to have a voice and to feel beautiful and to know that they are beautiful, because that they are, both men and women, amazing, beautiful people that God created. And use your story, use your pain, use your story, because somebody needs to hear it and somebody needs to know that they're not alone. They need to know that they're not the only one that went through that. Because whenever, like in my 20s, I wouldn't even leave the closet. I was so petrified. I would have a bottle of wine in one hand and a butcher knife in the other one, and I would dare anybody to come near me because I was just going to go crazy. I had so much anger inside me that I thank God I didn't end up in jail, because I probably should have, for all the people I threatened to cut. Anybody that made me mad, I saw just rage, just red, because I was so angry at what had happened to me, and I wouldn't let go of that. So whenever I was, went through my breakthrough prayer and I was healed, I quit attracting all these bad things because God healed me. And that's what I want people to know is, if you don't get healed, you're just going to keep attracting the same men. You're going to keep attracting the same situations. People say, well, I don't understand why I keep attracting these people because you haven't healed. Right. You have to heal,
Right. And in fact, we talked about that before we went live, is that our missions in many ways cross each other, because and so many of those that are involved in the next impactor, or people that have a cause, a mission, have lived life, and now they want to help others to possibly not have to learn the lessons the way that you've learned them within the Chemo Buddies for Life group. There's so many, and we have found, and there are research and part of the message and education is to even get it out there that many of the women that, in particular breast cancer, some of the other cancers that they see that have an emotional attachment, would be able to wear that hat, because they too have been through and a lot of us that don't maybe even make that connection, maybe don't even know, but our bodies have a way of kind of like saying, okay, like with the fever, you're doing too much, you need to lay down, you're sick, you're not listening, I'm going to make you listen, you're That's down for the count right now, right? Mm-hmm. And so those people that are out there that are possibly they haven't figured it out. They haven't even opened themselves up. Sometimes maybe even done the work to realize that they may have even closed the door, locked the key, put, furniture in front of it, forgot that it even happened. Yes. And then all of a sudden, wham, bam, you are hearing, that you've got some kind of a problem, possibly a disease. And It's like, where did that come from? And, environmental, this or that. And then not even thinking that it could be an emotional thing that wasn't worked out. So I am so grateful that you are out there, and something like a hat, and I was wearing my hat earlier, and I had a feeling you would probably be wearing a hat. So I was like, okay, I keep my hat on because we're going to do the hat thing. And, like if I had your hat on, I'd be throwing it on and I'd be saying, yes. We need to have breakout silent soldiers. We need to say breakout.
Yes.
Right? And heal.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to, if you don't feel led to put it on a platform and put it out there for everybody to know about, that's fine. But tell someone. Tell someone, because holding on to that story or holding on to what happened to you, it's only making you sicker. It's only making you feel more defeated. It's only making you feel worse about yourself. But when you can find the inner strength to just say, this happened to me, but this does not define me. This doesn't make or break who I am. Like, God has huge plans for me. And even, I just admire you so much for Chemo Buddies. And I admire you so much for this community that you've built, because it's so beautiful. And people need to know they're not alone. They need that love. They need that support. And absolutely they could wear a hat that says Breakout Silent Soldier, because they are silent soldiers, And so I that just makes me so happy. And that's why I wear wigs. I wear wigs on Wednesday because I want to support anyone and everyone who's ever lost their hair to alopecia or to cancer or to anything. I want to support them, and I think sometimes different people are able to reach different people. And I am a very outside the box kind of person. And so therefore I can reach some that, so and I'm just thankful for that, because I never thought I was good enough, and that's just how God has used me. And I'm just so honored and thankful for that.
I am grateful for you too. Absolutely. In fact, you have some of these, images, and you're out there, and you're helping your tribe and the people that are following you, and so many know who you are, and they're like, yes, I love her. Yes, I love the wigs. Yes, and I did pick one image of the glasses, and I don't know if these are some of the glasses. You got your husband wearing them too, but it's
that was actually my nephew. He builds robots. Talk about major nerd. And that was a robot competition that we went to. So we were in the pit, and you can't, like with your normal eyes, so you have to wear those glasses.
I love it.
To be
I picked them, because I just do random pick, I
love it.
Pick random sometimes. And I wanted to really start talking about the fact that you get out there, you talk, you share, you're inspiring others.
Yes.
How does that make you feel? And do you ever get those butterflies? Because sharing the fact that at one time you didn't even feel good enough, you didn't think you were the smart one, and now you're the speaker, you're the one people are following, you're the inspirer. Isn't that right there also a message to people that maybe they've not had a traumatic situation with, that they're like, oh my gosh, that story is incredible, but I just love her energy. You have a story to inspire those people that are just saying, I feel awkward, and I'm not as beautiful as Jody is. I could never wear a wig like she does. Bling, I love it on others, but I don't want to call attention to myself. What do you have to say to them?
I have to say, just be who you are, because here's the thing. I was in a very abusive relationship, and he would tell me all the time, you're stupid. You only have a GED. You're fat. You're ugly. You're not good enough. He would sit there and just belittle me and belittle me and belittle me and beat me down to absolutely nothing. But I had to tell you something. God can take a piece of coal and turn it into a diamond. And so if you are feeling that you are not worthy enough, or you are not good enough, or that, I wish I could be like that, you can be absolutely anybody that you want to be. Can I tell you, I have stage fright worse than anybody in the world. Like, stage fright. When I first started doing my live videos, I would do them and I would delete them, and I would do them and I would delete them. I mean, I probably deleted like 10 videos, but the thing about it is whenever I stepped off stage, I was shaking and just a nervous wreck first time I spoke. And I had 4 people waiting on me, and they were suicidal.
Oh.
And I realized at that moment, one which was a 67-year-old woman who had never told a soul what happened to her as a child. 67 years she had carried it. And I realized right then and there, I was like, it's not about me. It's about everyone in that audience. It's not about me. It's about all those people knowing that they can be whoever they want to be, that it doesn't matter your educational background. It doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter statistics or this or that. You know, I had a teacher one time tell me, he's like, Jody, you're so stupid. You just don't get it. You know, and there's not like this magic box that you can just pull out and get the answers out of. You can't just do that. Well, you can. It's called Google.
I love it. Use the tools.
It's called Google. So on him, you know, but that's the thing. People are going to beat you down because you're a reflection of what they are. So therefore, if you're doing better than they are, then they're going to sit there and be like, oh, you can't do this, or you don't need to do this. You need to find within yourself and believe in you first.
Right.
And then everybody else. If you have a passion and you have a good why behind it, my passion is helping people. I am so humbled by the ones that come to me and put me in the spotlight, but I'm just Jody. Like I will always be just Jody. And so that's something that I want to let people know that are watching is God can take you and make you into whomever. He already knows who you're going to be. You just have to step into it, and you have to have the faith to go there. And living in a dark world, living as an alcoholic, living as a drug addict, living as, you know, just a tool that anybody can use anytime they want. Those things are not what God wants for your life. God wants so much more for you. God wants you to feel beautiful. Wants you to look in the mirror and feel beautiful about the person looking back. It doesn't matter what other people say to you. Their words don't matter unless they're words to encourage you and inspire you and build you up. But you're always going to have people that are going to come against you. I love that saying that says your spirit might irritate their demons, right?
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's good.
That's so true. Yeah. You know, and if that's the case, then just keep shining and just keep being you, because God has a plan for you. He didn't want you just to exist. It talks about the graveyards are full of rich people because there's so much potential laying in them.
Right.
Nursing homes are full of rich people that have so much potential that are sitting there kicking themselves because they didn't do anything. Right. So I always say, if not me, then who?
Right. I want to bring up a picture. So you shared your story and a lot of dark times, a lot of dark people, and then now you were sharing me before we went live, because I was saying, you know, but we were meeting and everything, how we kind of got together on to be able to talk today. And part of it was because of your husband. And tell us a little bit about how long have you been together? How, you know, share what you would like to share, because I think that here too it shares with me, and I know there's going to be I know some of the people watching that there's going to be a lot of others that are going to say, wow, anything is really possible, right?
Yes. So when I met my husband, I was in the darkest part of my life. I was so drunk I could barely sit on the bar stool beside him. And I don't want to give too much away because it's in my second book, but
which is coming out soon, right?
Which is coming out soon, yes. But when we first met, I actually was so drunk and annoying and cursing and ugly and mean and drunk that he said he had to go to the bathroom and he left.
Really?
Yes.
Were you on a date, or did you just
I was
meet?
I was not on a date. I was supposed to actually go out with another guy. And I had been going out with these guys that just treated me like garbage. I mean, really did. And I was supposed to go out with them. And I had just went home to Mississippi. There, I said it. I had just went home, and
so we're good.
My dad had passed away. And so had been a few months after that. And so I went back there, and it was just so heavy, and I was so mad and angry that I didn't get to talk to him, and I was so mad and angry that I didn't get to tell him how much he meant to me. And so when I had come back, I'd always had jug wine, like we're talking big Mama Jama wines, because that's all I could afford.
Right,
And
okay.
so all my neighbors and friends were going across the street to hear a really awesome guy play. And I was supposed to go with them. And I was like, you know what? I just want to sit here and drink. That's all I want to do. And so they called me about midnight. This was about 7. They called about midnight, and Jody was turned up. I was drunk. And so when I ended up going over there, I started to do shots at the bar and everything. And so Jimmy was like, he was just trying to unwind and eat some pizza. And here I come, Hurricane Tornado Jody. And the thing about it is that I was so broken that I only thought I deserved crumbs. And here is God trying to give me this whole loaf of bread, like this whole beautiful man that's just supportive and amazing and so good to me. And yet all I want's crumbs. So I was very ugly and mean to him in the beginning because I was so hurt and angry and mad. And what do you want from me? Like, and so he would try to love me. And then I was like a pit bull. I'm going to bite you. If you try to help me, I'm going to attack. So it was when I went through my breakthrough prayer and I forgave the guy that raped me. I forgave the guy that lured me, and I forgave the guy that abused me. I forgave the people that hurt me in my life, that I was able to love him back. And now 11 years later, every day he tells me how proud and how amazing I am to him. But I had no idea that when we met, and I always say God has a sense of humor, because I had no idea that when we met, I was at my darkest point. But God knew that I was going to be able to actually encourage and inspire my husband. So, and this picture is actually us at World Ventures, at an event that we were at together. But that's what I'm saying. People look at this, they would never ever think of what I had been through. They would think I was a spoiled brat probably, or they would think, they would say that girl's got it going on, or she's she doesn't know what it's like to go through hard times. Well, yeah, I do. But this is the after picture. This is what God can do if you give it to him. And it's not, it's not boring. I always hear people say, well, I don't want to give my life to God because it's boring if you do that. No, it's freedom. It's freedom. It's beautiful. You will stop attracting what is hurting you in your life and pulling you down. And I mean, I tried to commit suicide several times because I couldn't deal with it. This was, of course, before my husband, but I couldn't deal with who I was. I was so broken inside, and I just wanted to hurt. And so I want anybody watching this to know that God can take you, flip you upside down, and give you a whole new life and make you sparkle.
I love it. Okay, so let's talk about it. The next impactor. Yes. Yay. Okay. Saturday. How did you, first of all, before we talk about Saturday, how did you find out about the next impactor? What got you involved? Let's talk a little bit about that.
So I had a friend of mine reach out, and she was like, they made a competition for you. This is it. And I just was like, oh, wow. And so then the wheels start turning, the whole, you've only got a GED, you're not smart enough, you've got stage fright. How are you ever going to do anything like that? And then this little soft voice was like, why not? Why not just try? And so the day that I actually did my video, I wasn't feeling good. I was very sick. I was having a horrible hair day. And I didn't even want to do it, to be honest. And that little voice kept saying, it's now or never.
Uh-oh, she'll come back. She'll be right back. Okay, it's now or never.
Yeah, and so I did the video.
When did you join? You joined towards the beginning?
I did, yeah. I actually put my video in maybe 3 weeks in, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it was very early on.
Yeah. Okay. So now that you've been involved in it, and we have the first round ending with the live stream on Saturday, that will be picking the top 50.
Yes.
to then go in teams of 5 or 5 teams of 10. What do you think?
I think we're both in it. I think we're both in it, and I can name some others that I think we're in it. But I think that it's so humbling again. I think it's so amazing that these people, that these coaches are finding a way to impact so many lives. Yes. So I love The Voice. I'm a huge fan of The Voice. And so I would never try to go for a competition unless I knew that I was going to have the coaching that I needed. Right. It's like, when you're ready and when you're not ready. And so when I saw this competition, I was like, thank you, Jesus, because I knew I wasn't ready. I had people wanting to put me on stages, and I knew, hi, Tina, I knew that I wasn't there, and so when they said they're going to mold you and they're going to coach you and they're going to do all these things, I got cold chill bumps, and I was like, yes, like that's so good. And like you, I know that me, you, and I think Teresa, I went through and watched all the videos because I wanted to support and encourage everybody that's in this competition and let them know that, thank you for speaking up, because it takes a lot of courage to even do a video. That one little girl, she's so cute. And I was like, you go, girl.
Yeah, Carlos's daughter. Yeah.
Yes. I love her. It's like, she's so cute, so little, just starting young. And I think that's awesome. So yeah, I'm super excited about this, the next Impactor, definitely.
In fact, what I would love to do is challenge those people that are supporting us to go in and watch the other Impactors videos also. Because,
there's some good ones. There are some good ones.
There are so many people that have the heart to serve.
Yes.
And it takes a lot. And it takes a lot of gumption. And those butterflies are flowing for a lot.
Yeah.
But some not so many. I mean, but I will say, even with the fact that I'm used to getting on camera and everything, I really just wanted to make sure that I could get my message out there in a clear way to then be able to say, okay, if nothing else, I stated what it is for the buddies that I am out there doing. So, and not everybody has. We all come with different skills. I'm thinking of so many of them, and I don't want to start going because then I would feel like, okay, I missed this one and missed that one, because so many of them are service heroes. So many of them have been volunteers for Chemo Buddies for Life. So many of them are my dearest friends. And that's the thing that I really treasure about this program. And I just want to do, I'm sure you join with me, is just a hats off to Lauren Harris and Jeff Levine for putting together a program for good.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Because you know what? Our world needs impacting, and our world needs people to speak out and to know they're not alone. And, I want my cousin to be with Chemo Buddies because she's been fighting, and she's been fighting hard, and, she's so precious to me, and she needs that encouragement from others who've been through it. It's hard for me to explain to her if I haven't been through it. Right. So exactly. So this competition has put all these people together that if someone comes to me and they're just like, I'm going through cancer, I don't know how to handle it, I don't know what to do, I can say, I can pray for you, but let me tell you, I'm so excited because I can connect you to the perfect person that you need to talk to about that can encourage you, that's been through it, that knows. I always say you can read about a fire and you can study about a fire, but until you walk through a fire, you don't know how it burns. You don't know how it feels. So being that you've been through that, it's such a beautiful thing that you can share that, encourage and help others. And I love Chemo Buddies. I love everything about that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So do I. It didn't come from me, I have to say. I'm just a vessel.
Yeah. I know. I knew that who it came from. I knew who it came from, and I love it.
And Tina, I agree with you. In fact, I say this a lot, is that I don't even use the word. Recently I've used the word just because I'm trying to figure out how to say it.
Yeah.
However, I do believe it is a collaboration. Absolutely. Because in the end, and I did a little live thing a couple hours ago when I was
saw a little bit of it.
Thank you. And, and the thing I really was trying to talk about here, and that is, I was liking us like a vineyard, that each
Yes.
individual vine and stems from the stem, but then the vines, they intertwine together, and
Right.
they and then they can collectively create what it is that they were designed to create.
Yes.
And then that can go out there, and yes, people feel like, they oftentimes will buy a specialty bottle of wine for a special event or whatever it may be, and that can be a really big part of whatever that purpose was. Well, each individual vine, it would have been hard for that one vine to create the whole bottle, let alone a
Yes.
whole case, let alone a
Yes.
whole vintage. And the fact that all of us are out there and we're the individuals, there will be one impactor that will win. Yes, the next
Right.
impactor. But that doesn't mean that because of the fact that there's been this competition, if you will, and collaboration, that
Yeah.
next one right next to it might not win a grant or a sponsor or a world tour, or to impact what it is that their message is to impact. So I see it the same, Tina, and I'm grateful that you
I love
understand
that. I love how she said that. And it
Yes,
is, it's like The Voice, you have the third runner up or the fourth runner up. And so a lot of times they're actually doing better than the actual winner,
right,
so you
right,
never
right,
know. You never know who's watching, who's listening, who's knowing, and God has a plan. And that's
right,
what we just have to know. Yeah.
right. And so thank you for that. And
Yeah.
I just want to say, as we end today, or I want to ask, first of all, I gave this image, and I just have to share it because you are absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
And inside and out. And, I'm sharing this not to brag about Jody right now. What I'm doing is I'm sharing this for those people that are saying, I can relate with that, feeling that ugliness right now. I'm struggling right now. I'm in that moment right now. I'm in that darkness. Remember the image of the book with the black clothing. I'm in that image right now. Now, yes, you have a natural beauty, but we all have natural beauty. And when you're in alignment and you can come out into the light and you can shine, that's a beautiful picture of you shining. You're welcome. I
wish I had
share
a before picture because it would shock. I mean, and I'm not to speak of you, but I wish I had a before picture because I could show people. Because a lot of people are like, yeah, right, you were. But I was so rough that I went to spend the night on my sister's couch and she was nervous about me sleeping on her couch. I had dark circles under my eyes. I was super skinny, sunken. I mean, I looked like a drug addict. And so I wish I had that before picture so that I could say, I'm not just saying this. I'm being very real that you can be and do whatever it is that you want to. And that, yeah.
I love it. So is there anything before we close the show, anything that you would like to leave, a last message? I know that your first book is out, and you have a second book that's coming out, and then a third one to follow after that, correct?
Yes, okay, that's correct.
Yes. Let's go over that real fast, and then you can close it out.
Yeah. So my book, the Boss Hats or the Cross Hats, which Jeremiah always supports, you can get that at jodypaar.com, JODYPAAR. I also do life coaching. I'm a certified life coach as well. And then on Instagram, under the Jody Paar, I do a lot of inspirational, motivational stuff on Instagram. And on Facebook, I'm under Jody Thomas Paar. And I just want to say that no matter how dark that you've been in life, you can always shine on. You can always be bright. You don't have to stay where you feel stuck.
So there it is. Get the Boss Hat at jodypaar.com. And any last thoughts that you would like to, any inspirational thoughts that you'd like to share?
I want to say that it doesn't matter who spoke negatively over you. Whether it was when you were a child and someone said you'll never amount to anything because your mom didn't, your dad didn't, your aunt, your uncle didn't. It doesn't matter what people speak over you. It doesn't matter circumstances around you. What matters is what's in your heart And when you have a heart to give and you have a purpose and what you're wanting to do, you will see why you went through the pain. And what you need to do is just believe with your heart, give it to God. I can't stress that enough, guys. I really can't. Give it to God, get into a good church, and let God change who you are. And you will be so happy that you do when you do that, because it's very important for me to stress that people feel alone in this world, and you're not. And God will put the right people and the right circumstances in your path. I have lost friends, you could say, so many of them, but God cleared them out of the way because he knew where he was taking me. And he put even better people in my life, like Tamara and Jeremiah and Melody. And there's just so many that he put in my life. So when God is trying to separate you from people, don't chase after them. Don't pull on the door. Know that there's a reason, and where you're going, those people can't go with you. Because especially if they're negative minded and they don't have the same dream in their heart and they don't want to have a giving heart, then you know what? You need to move on. This is your life, and you can be anybody that you want to be.
Well said. And many people I know needed to hear that message. Thank you for those
You're
words.
So welcome.
So as
Thank
we
you for having me.
I'm going to close day number 227
Yay.
of 365 days of awesome. Celebrate success through service. I want to thank you, Jody Paar, for being so brave to bring out a program, Boss, that we can break out silent soldiers, that we can together and collectively help those people that need to hear your message, hear your inspiration, see your light, and know that all things are possible because you are out there being real and raw and saying, you know what, I know because I've been there.
Yes.
I know that you can do it because I am willing to be there with you too. And your books and your inspiration and your stories. And I cannot wait to get my hands on them. Yes, I'm going to be going on getting them right away. I cannot wait to read. So thank you so very much for being the service hero that you are.
Thank you so much. And I want to say real quick, something else that I didn't mention was I'm working on a website right now. It's going to be called ablinglife.com. Of course, it's going to be all bling items. And a percentage of that is going to go toward fighting human trafficking. And then I have another company that I'm about to join in with, and they give 100% of proceeds into fighting human trafficking. Awesome. So thank you to everyone who supports anything and everything that fights human trafficking, because there's so many that don't have a voice that really need your help.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. Thank you. And I'm going to end the show now. Excited for Saturday. Everybody, if you have not liked the Next Impactor page and you want to see who's going to make it to the top 50, go there now. Go there. Yes. Go ahead. You can go and and like, because we want many people to support this program, because it is supporting people that are out there making a difference for good. Thank you for all you're doing.
Thank you.
And good luck on Saturday. My attitude is, guys, no matter what the results are, I'm excited to have been a part of this program, and because I've gotten to meet people, wonderful people like you, Jody.
And right back at you.
Thank you. All right. Go out there and make it a great day. See you all tomorrow.
Thanks. Bye.